I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Tuesday, March 17, 2020, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Monday, March 16, 2020 was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Janaris.
Mr. President, on behalf of Senator Kavanaugh, on page 14, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 245, Senate Print 2328, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendment is received and the bill shall retain its place on the third reading calendar.
And on behalf of Senator Biaggi, on page 21, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 372, Senate Print 6679B, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received and the bill shall retain its place on the third reading calendar.
As an initial matter, Mr. President, I just want to point out so everyone could understand the procedures of the House today. After discussions with our colleagues, by unanimous consent, I move to authorize any member that is checked in to the session today to be able to cast votes through the process outlined in Senate Rule 9.
Without objection, so ordered.
And with that, there will be an immediate meeting of the Finance Committee in room 332.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Finance Committee in room 332.
The Senate will stand at ease.
The Senate will stand at ease. The Senate will return to order. Senator Janaris.
I believe there's a report of the Finance Committee at the desk. If we could please return to reports of standing committees.
There's a report of the Finance Committee at the desk. The Secretary will read.
Senator Kruger from the Committee on Finance reports the following bill. Senate Print 617, Senate Budget Bill, an act making appropriations for the legal requirements of the state debt service and lease purchase payments and other special contractual obligations.
Move to accept the report of the Finance Committee.
All those in favor of accepting the report of the Finance Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The report is accepted. Senator Janaris.
At this time, there will be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332.
There will be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332.
The Senate will stand at ease.
The Senate will stand at ease. The Senate will return to order. Senator Janaris.
Can we please return to reports of standing committees? I believe there's a report of the Rules Committee at the desk.
There's a report of the Rules Committee at the desk. The Secretary will read.
Senator Stuart Cousins from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 8058 by Senator Myrie, an act in relation to petition requirements. Senate Print 8091 by Senator Ramos, an act providing requirements for sick leave and the provision of certain employee benefits. All bills report direct to third reading.
All right. I move to accept the report of the Rules Committee.
All those in favor of accepting the report of the Rules Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The report is accepted. Senator Janaris.
Can we now take up the supplemental calendar, please?
The Secretary will read. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 617, Senate Print 7502, Senate Budget Bill, an act making appropriations for the legal requirements of the state debt service and lease purchase payments and other special contractual obligations.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Fennington, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 56.
The bill is passed. Senator Janoris.
Yes, Mr. President, can we take up supplemental calendar B, please?
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 618, Senate Print 8058 by Senator Myrie, an act in relation to petition requirements.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Fennington, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Announce the results.
Ayes 56.
The bill is passed.
Stand at ease.
The Senate will stand at ease. The Senate will return to order. Senator Janoris.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this point, can we conclude or continue to conclusion reading the supplemental calendar B?
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 619, Senate Print 8091 by Senator Ramos, an act providing requirements for sick leave and the provision of certain employee benefits.
Senator Janoris.
The message of necessity at the desk, Mr. President.
There is a message of necessity at the desk.
Move to accept the message of necessity.
All those in favor of accepting the message, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The message is accepted and the bill is before the House. Read the last section.
Immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Fennington, Janoris, Kruger, Stewart, Cousins, Thomas.
Senator Flanagan to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. And happy to be here today under these very unique circumstances. And I reflect during the time that I've had the privilege to serve in the legislature in both houses, the solemn nature and the unique circumstances that we find ourselves in today. So I applaud you and my colleagues for being here. And I hearken back to how we achieved some legislative action after September 11th. Different set of circumstances, but at the time we actually had a joint session of the legislature in the State Assembly presided over by Governor Pataki, then Majority Leader Senator Bruno, and then Speaker Sheldon Silver. And it was amazing the things that got done in a very tight time frame. Here we are today, and I use the word solemn because I almost feel like I'm in a church. It's like a house of worship because it's so quiet. And there's good reason for that. So I want to thank Leader Stewart Cousins, Senator Janoris, my colleague Senator Griffo, and really all the senators who are here. They are here. Out of an abundance of caution, we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk. And I do want to make a couple of comments about where I think our members are in relation to today. There is not a person who is not slightly apprehensive, maybe a little element of fear, a little element of understanding, misunderstanding, looking for guidance, looking for direction, hopefully looking for leadership. And that can just be on a personal level involving your own family. But here, as we sit in the seat of government, I think we take a more in-depth look at who we are and what our responsibilities are. And at a time of crisis, and we are in a legitimate crisis, people have expectations that their leaders that they have duly elected will act accordingly on their behalf. I don't think I'm talking out of school. Mr. President, you and I chatted briefly about your daughter. You know, you're going to worry about your family, I'm going to worry about my family, and God knows you're going to worry about your daughter. And that's the way it should be. And so we have to be reflective of our constituents who are wondering, is my kid coming home from school? Am I ever going to get a refund for the kid going to college? What am I going to do with my elementary school children? What am I going to do about my constituents who are worried about whether or not they can get to work, whether or not they're going to have a job? Are they going to be working remotely? What does that mean? And how does all that play out at a time where people are really looking for their government to act like leaders. Now, I'm going to speak personally. I believe, listening to my own staff and what I see, Governor Cuomo is making an extraordinary effort to provide leadership. 24/7, 26/7, 37, whatever it may be. He and his staff, by extension all the state agencies, they are doing everything humanly possible, literally humanly possible, and everything conceivable. When I talk to a local hospital and find out that they're worried about whether or not they have surgical masks or they have the requisite gloves and they really want to take care of their patients, there isn't a person who works in government who isn't literally at this moment trying to figure out, how do we make that happen? Who do we call? Like, how do you figure out where to get all this stuff? How do you get a ventilator? How do you get something on an emergency basis? So I laud very clearly the governor for being extraordinarily proactive, for being outspoken, for being a vintage and quintessential New Yorker when he needs to be. But I do think people are really paying attention. Those daily briefings, which are extended to us, and which are extended to us, to our staff, are extraordinarily important. I believe that the governor's staff is really endeavoring to interact with us in a way that is making everybody feel comfortable so we can disseminate what's going on. I got a call from my county controller today, and yesterday we were able to get clarification on something that has to do with payroll, so somebody can get a paycheck. Every one of our colleagues, and I'm sure it's the same for Leader Stewart-Cousins, they're saying, what are we doing? Like, what actions are we taking? Today, and with this bill, I think there's a very clear recognition of what is being done, and it's finite. We're taking an issue and addressing that issue at this time because it's important and it means real things to real people, and this is addressing an acute problem in the right way in a limited capacity. We will have time to have these other debates. And in fact, while it's seemingly innocuous, we actually are passing the debt service bill today. You and I both know that's the first step in the budget process. That's the first time Leader Stewart-Cousins can bring out something and say, we are moving along on the budget. And ironically, people are going to start to pay attention to debt service more than they ever have. And rightfully so, because we're going to have a whole bunch of new debt because of the things that we're going to have to do. I watch what goes on across the country, but I also watch, like everybody else, what's going on in Washington. And I believe the same that I described for the state of New York is applicable to the president and our leaders down in Washington. My colleagues on Long Island, Congressman Peter King, Congressman Zeldin, many of our colleagues across the state of New York, we all have a laser-like focus on how can we help the people we represent and do it in a way and shape and form that they can understand and it makes a difference in their life. So it's every level of government, town, county, village, whatever it may be, the school district, the water district, the sanitation district. Who's picking up the garbage? All those types of things. But at the federal level, Vice President Pence and the federal administration, they're looking at major stimuluses to provide relief to people, small business owners, not-for-profits, nursing homes. We're not only worried about their supplies, but whether or not they can meet payroll. So I want to compliment this legislative body. I want to compliment the legislature, and gosh knows we have a ton more work to do. But when the governor of the state of New York and the president of the United States are in sync and acting in a bipartisan way, that inures to the benefit of the millions of people in this state that we still continue to call the Empire State. We have more work to do in front of us. And I've been here a long time. I've never been in a chamber like this. I'm looking at my 4 colleagues here. We are literally representative of every one of our members who genuinely want to be here because they believe in what they do. And I'm going to just close again by saying I support these bills. And we'll have much more time for debate on other policy issues. It's just not going to be today. But this provides relief at an appropriate time, in an appropriate way, and I thank the governor for all the things that I said, and I'll repeat them once more. Those briefings and all the information goes a long way in allaying some of the fears and concerns of the public. Mr. President, I vote aye. Thank you.
Senator Flanagan, to be recorded in the affirmative. Leader Stewart Cousins to explain her vote.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. This is obviously an unprecedented time. It's an unprecedented day where we are sitting in a chamber bereft of all of our colleagues because of the very real concern of coronavirus and what it is continuing to do not only in our state but in our nation and across the globe. So to stand and say that we are working on a daily basis to meet the needs of every single person who depends on government to do the work that has to be done in order for them to be able to have as normal a life as possible in the midst of crisis is an important thing to say. And what we are doing today, and I thank my colleague for articulating what I think cannot be said enough. The fact is that when you're public servants, you focus on the public. And every day, unlike 9/11, where this was obviously a tragedy, but for some reason, that happened. We went through the pain and the grief, and then we were able to get up the next day and say, let's go fight. Every day, with the unpredictability of what we are doing, is a day that regardless of what, we have to get up and we have to fight. And I thank our governor for getting up every day and for fighting for all of us here in New York, but on a broader level, everyone in the nation. And yes, we have these same cooperative measures from our congresspeople, our senators. I've spoken with both Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand and our congresspeople, Elliot Engel and Nita Lowey, and Sean. I will go through all of them. But the reality is that every single one of us are fighting for every single one of us. My daughter had to be put on leave. They're staggering. My son-in-law working from home, my children working from home, daycare center, preschool closed. Every aspect of our lives are changed, and changed probably for a very, very long time. So to step up with courage, to pass a bill today that deals with the coronavirus emergency, to pass a bill today that deals with our budget emergency, I hope ensures every single person in our state that we are at work and we will not rest until we are able to assuage the concerns of the small businesses, to make sure that our kids are getting the education, even if it's from a distance, and we have our essential workers getting the support they need on the front lines, no matter where they are, obviously in the hospitals, but even in our communities, making sure that the day-to-day things happen, that we, and certainly our constituents who have to maybe stay away, can depend on going forward despite this crisis. New Yorkers are strong. New York leads all the time. And I'm happy to have a bipartisan communication with my colleague, Senator Flanagan, and thank you, Senator Griffin, and certainly with Senator Gianaris, to represent the highest aspirations of all of us, to meet this crisis head on, to overcome it, to do a responsible budget that takes into consideration the needs of all of us, and to stand every time in support of the people we represent. So I obviously vote aye, And again, we will be back in this chamber at a time when it's filled up again. But until that time, the people of New York should be assured that we are at work and working cooperatively with the governor and across the aisle to make sure that we offer the best we possibly can under very, very difficult circumstances. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader Stewart Cousins to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 619, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Gallivan, Helming, Jacobs, Ort, and Robach. Ayes 50, nays 6.
The bill is passed. Senator Janaris, that completes the reading of today's supplemental calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me just, for my part, thank all my colleagues for their understanding and cooperation and indulgence today. We're doing the best we can to keep this body moving forward in a very challenging time. Particularly Senator Griffo, my counterpart, who has worked very closely with us to figure out the protocols and logistics of how we're going to be operating in this new world. And with that, is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
Please recognize Senator Griffo for an announcement.
Senator Griffo.
Thank you, Mr. President. There will be an immediate meeting of the Republican Conference in room 315.
There'll be an immediate meeting of the Republican Conference in room 315. Senator Janaris.
There will also be a conference of the Majority Conference in Hearing Room A at 1:45.
There'll be a majority conference meeting in hearing room A at 1:45.
I move to adjourn, subject to the call of the temporary president, intervening days being legislative days.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned, subject to the call of the temporary president, intervening days being legislative days.